Mr. Evans was elected as Wayne County's 4th county executive in 2014. I'm sure many of you remember how things looked back in the county in 2014, and it wasn't good. There was a very valid concern that we were headed for bankruptcy and possibly an emergency manager. In just 4 years, he has managed to turn the county around. He eliminated a multi-million-dollar deficit while exiting a consent agreement in just 14 months, produced 3 consecutive budget surpluses, increased funding for the county's pension system, significantly strengthened the county's healthcare system, and earned repeated credit rating upgrades from the top 3 credit rating agencies. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Wayne County Executive Warren C. Evans.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I'm not going to make a speech because every time you see a politician come and say, oh my God, we'll be here for another half hour. No, you won't. But let me say, first of all, it's an honor to be here for a couple of reasons that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. One of the things that was really important to me when I took office was that we need to change the paradigm of the relationship between counties and cities and townships. In my mind, Wayne County has 43 different and distinct communities that are such that if you can't find a place in Wayne County to live, to work, to enjoy, then you probably can't find one anywhere. But I think the distinct importance is it's not the county, it's the 43 communities that make up the county. And what makes that extremely important is the relationships with the cities and townships, not unlike the 2 previous speakers, and the relationships in Taylor with different agencies, whether it's schools or whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or whatever it turns out to be. Those relationships are critical. 10 years ago, I don't think any of us would figure that this region would have moved as far forward as it has. But it doesn't do that by accident. Wayne County was $175 million in the hole 3 years ago. We don't know any of that anymore. We have an investment grade bond rating, and why is that important for me to say here? Because we're all inextricably linked together, and the county having a bad bond rating and the county going into bankruptcy doesn't help Taylor one bit, and vice versa, really. And so what you may see on a little bigger scale in terms of Wayne County's turnaround, that's happened in Taylor with the mayor that I'm going to introduce in a few minutes. He has used his leadership skills as a business person, his energies, his connection to the community to reduce budgets, to get rid of deficits, to forge a plan to take Taylor to another place. And that's what makes Wayne County great, people who do that. County just theoretically, and as far as I'm concerned, the county ought to be a support agency to the other communities. And I think Mayor Sollars will tell you that we've improved that relationship over the last 3.5 years, and I expect to do it for many years going forward. We need to work together as a team to progressively work and make things happen. I think you're blessed in Taylor, and I'm glad to be here. I mean, you always think about, when does the hometown boy actually become the mayor? He's lived here all his life. He's gone to school here. He certainly has a passion for the community. Anytime I call him with a problem, he responds quickly. Do we always agree? No, his job is to protect Taylor. And in 90% of the times, what's good for Taylor is good for Wayne County. But that other 10% of the time when we have to kind of mash our teeth and work through a problem, we disagree, but we disagree without being disagreeable. And I will tell you that when those few times when we are not on the same side of an issue, he is a zealous advocate for the city of Taylor. And I appreciate that. That's what he's supposed to be. And what that does for me is say, you know, a guy that works as hard for his city as this guy's doing, I'm going to bend over backwards as often and as much as I can to be as supportive as I possibly can. Because again, Wayne County is nothing without 43 communities that can thrive and get better. Taylor schools are getting better. We want, in the next several years, with the new dynamics downtown and other places, that as we bring in businesses and economic development, we're doing that. We're bringing significant businesses into Wayne County, whether it's in Flat Rock or Taylor or Livonia. They're coming. The next step is we want them to live here, don't we? The county lives on property taxes. I don't know about you, Mayor, but you don't mind them either, do you? It helps us to provide the services and do the things that need to occur. People don't move places that don't look progressive. People don't move places that don't look like they support the folks that you want to come. It's one of the big issues in Detroit now for millennials. We'll have the big, regional transit argument, which I'm not going to get into here, but just hear me for a second. The argument is not just moving people to and from jobs. It's actually realizing that millennials would rather text than drive. And they'd like to come downtown to do things, not necessarily live downtown, but they'd like to be able to get down there and go to shows and restaurants and do all of those things. Without transit, do you think those kids are going to want to sit in the car for 2 hours, driving down here, paying $50 for parking? It's not in our collective best interest over time to not sit down and figure out how to make transit work. Is that something we need to sell? Is that something we need to really sit down with all of our communities and say, how do we make this work so it's beneficial for everybody here? Certainly we need to do that. But that will never happen if we don't come together and say, our long-term health is as a region. Region means all of us. Region doesn't mean cutouts, opt-outs, quit-outs, and leave-outs. It means find something that supports the mission for all of us and do it and move forward. Mayor Sollars is the kind of guy who will sit there and work with you on any project. He will give input that is important to his communities, but he's a progressive thinking person. He wants to see not a status quo. He wants to see a growing, stronger, better funded city of Taylor. Well, guess what? I do too. And it is an honor for me to introduce the man who is going to give the speech for the state of the city of Taylor. The hometown boy from Taylor High School, Taylor Central. Been in this community forever. He really dates me because I saw that he graduated from high school in '92, and I've probably been working for the county 30 years by then, but I'm still trying to move around, but his energy, his dynamism, and his ability to love and protect the city, you can't not like that. Let me introduce to you, or bring to you, because you know him so well, the mayor of the city of Taylor, Rick Sollars. Rick, it is really my honor to be here.